good morning. Transfers. Newcastle's attempts to sign Jørgen Strand Larsen are dealt a blow again. 2 bids, 2 rejections. And while they try to sign him, Alexander Isak stands firm and reiterates he doesn't want to stay at the club. Also this hour, could Manchester United Academy graduate Kobbie Mainoo leave the club? And weeks after being told to leave PSG, Gianluigi Donnarumma is still yet to find a new club. Will he end up in the Premier League? Good morning to you wherever you're watching, and to former Newcastle and Bournemouth midfielder Dan Gosling, and James Savunja is with us as well. We've got a packed show. Let's start at Newcastle, who yesterday saw a second bid worth £55 million for Wolves striker Jørgen Strand Larsen rejected. Whilst negotiations were happening, he was on the pitch and scored twice to help his side beat West Ham. His boss, Vitor Pereira, said every player has his price.
He's a top player with the right mentality, a team player, but he has the qualities that he can score. I'm very happy for him.
Can you keep him this window?
I'm not the owner of the club. That's the owner of the club. He's an important player for us, you know. We'll see.
So Vitor Pereira there saying, James, that you know, every player has his price, and Newcastle know that price now. So do they just need to pay it and get this wrapped up quickly?
It feels that way because of the situation that Newcastle are in right now. That first bid was 50 million, second bid went in yesterday for around 55 million. Newcastle need to sign a striker who can play for them against Leeds this weekend, because Alexander Isak isn't going to be on the pitch. Anthony Gordon is not going to be there either. So the only central option they have in terms of recognised forwards are William Asula, who's got 2 Premier League goals. At the same time, Newcastle are aware that Wolves only bought the player this summer for £23 million. So they don't want to overpay. But for Newcastle, sadly, it feels like it's needs must. They've tried to sign João Pedro, Brian Mbeumo, Hugo Ekitike, Benjamin Sesko and Yohan Wissa in this window. That latter one, that may happen, but it's not happened yet. And clubs like Wolves know that Newcastle have the money to spend because they agreed that deal with RB Leipzig to sign Sesko for more than £60 million. And ultimately, when you look at Strand Larsen's goal record last season, he got 14 in the Premier League. It's very close to what Ekitike got and what Sesko got in the Bundesliga last season. I'm not saying they're the same level of player, but they might be based on what we saw last season. So we're not sure how good Jørgen Strand Larsen can be. Is he at his peak, or can he get better and better? Could he be worth 60, 70 million pounds? So Wolves are in their right to demand a big fee, especially when you consider some of the outgoings there this summer.
Dan obviously came off the bench yesterday, sort of saved Wolves, came off the bench, scored twice to see them through in the Carabao Cup. And like James just said, that was his first season in the Premier League, 14 Premier League goals. And I mean, for Newcastle, do you think that could be a good fit?
Yes, but again, Wolves last night, they showed how much that they need him. So if he wasn't there, they lose the game and they're at the Carabao Cup. So if they lose a player of that quality this late in the window, I know he's saying every player has a price, but I don't know where they go from there. I don't know who they replace him with. I even think from Newcastle's point of view, there's definitely a number that they would pay. I don't feel they need to go over it for him. James just alluded to it. We're not sure how good he can get, whether he's at his peak. I know he's playing in a Wolves team that's probably not as strong as it has been. But yeah, there's a number for both teams, and I don't think Newcastle will pay over it.
Where, like Dan says, you know, where do Wolves go from here? Can they really, given their start to the season, and I know Vitor Pereira did a really good job last season at Wolves, but can they afford to lose him? There's only 5 days to go until the window closes.
I don't think they can. They've lost their first 2 matches of the season. They've not scored a goal. They've already lost last season's top scorer, Matheus Cunha, and between them, they scored 29 goals. That's more than half of the goals that Wolves scored in the Premier League last season. You can understand from a business perspective why it would be attractive for Wolves, because they signed him for £23 million at the start of this summer. And doubling your money, more than doubling your money on a player you've just brought, is very attractive. It's brilliant from a business perspective. But Wolves are in a situation where they're looking for backup strikers and other options to support Strand Larsen. At this stage of the season, they simply can't afford to let him go, I don't think. There's no obvious replacement in the squad that can replace him. And I think at this point in the window, it's unlikely they're going to get a player of that calibre, especially when clubs know that they'll have the money to spend from Strand Larsen, from Cunha departing. It would be a huge gamble for Wolves if they let him go. I know Vitor Pereira says every player has their price, but I think even if Newcastle get up to a silly level of money, I don't think they can let him go because it would completely jeopardise their hopes of staying in the Premier League, which are already in doubt because of the summer they've had.
Dan, just quickly, is this the difference? Is Jørgen Strand Larsen potentially the difference between staying in the Premier League and maybe going down?
I think for Wolves, yes. Although, look, they'll be able to get someone else in, but I just don't know the quality of the player they would get in. Obviously, it's getting later and later. But there's a proven goal scorer there. He scored 14 goals for them last year. I think it would be a mistake letting them go at this late stage.
Yeah, well, that deal is actually to find a replacement for Callum Wilson, who, of course, left as a free agent in the summer. But, James, do you think bringing in Strand Larsen, albeit a replacement for Callum Wilson, but maybe will it have some impact on the potential move for Alexander Isak?
I think it could have some impact. If Strand Larsen signs for Newcastle, then they're effectively in the same situation they were last season. They'd have Isak, Asula, and then Strand Larsen would come in to replace Wilson, who didn't play a huge amount last season. But to potentially sanction an Isak exit, they'd need a replacement for Isak, and they'd have to receive a suitable offer. They value Isak at around £150 million. The question would be, and it's maybe one I posed down, would you see Wissa and Strand Larsen as an upgrade on Isak and Wilson? Clearly, you have two very, very good players there in Wilson, in Wissa and Strand Larsen, but they're probably not at the level of Isak. But having those two is whether or not Newcastle would see that as something they could deal with and probably make a small profit if they do get the sort of money they want for Isak.
They definitely need two. I think Wissa for Callum Wilson is a great bit of business. I don't think it makes them stronger, no, if that's the question. I think they're very good players. I really like Wissa, 19 goals last year. Like I say, probably an upgrade on Callum Wilson, more so probably fitness only, probably guaranteed to play. The Strand Larsen one, I just don't know. I haven't seen enough of him to convince me that he's the answer to replace Isak.
I mean, yeah, replacing Alexander Isak, I think, for anyone is going to be so tough. I mean, it's only 5 days, like we say, until the window closes, Dan. Back to Isak. What will he be thinking? Because he's made it pretty clear that he's not going to play for Newcastle again. So if this move doesn't happen, what's going to be going on in his head? He
will have to get on with it. Simple as that. I think players, he can't go a season without football. I think once the window shuts, all the noise will quieten down. He will slowly get reintegrated into the squad, and then he'll start playing football again, and he'll start scoring goals again, and then the fans will start to love him again. It will take a bit of time. It will take a bit of time, but he's a world-class number 9, a world-class forward. Everyone saw the game on Monday night. Yes, Gordon had a 3-4 chance in the first half. Would Isak score? Possibly, no one knows. But he adds a huge threat to that team, and they were fantastic the other night. So with Isak in that front three as well, they can go on and do special things this season.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see whether Alexander Isak, if he doesn't go to Liverpool, whether he then does actually end up playing for Newcastle again. I mean, there's been reports, co-owners have gone to Alexander Isak's house. I mean, have you ever heard anything like that? And how would you have felt if a co-owner had come to your house?
Well, it makes you feel really important, that's for sure. I think it's a strange situation. Obviously, they're trying to make it amicable between the club, the player, the manager, the fans. They're trying to bring it all together. Everyone's trying to help the situation out. The only thing I can probably think they were talking about is give us 1 more year. Yeah. We'll give you the new contract, and then we'll put a release clause in it for the summer. 2 years left on your contract. We can still make some money on you, but just give us 1 more year. It reminds me of the Salah situation last year when Saudi were bidding huge amounts of money for Mo Salah. He wanted that big bumper pay rise. He got it. And this is very similar to that situation.
Yeah, right. Well, that's Newcastle United. What about Manchester United? Because it looks like we could see a flurry of activity before the deadline. I mean, probably, Dan, the most surprising, though, of them all is that man behind you, Kobbie Mainoo. Are you surprised we're even sat here talking about him potentially leaving Manchester United?
Well, yeah, I mean, I heard he got linked with Real Madrid today. I don't see that. I really like him. I think he's a really good player. When he broke into the team, he was fantastic. And it was probably this academy graduate coming in. He's going to be sort of the saviour for Man U in that midfield. It just hasn't quite happened under Ruben Amorim. For for a few reasons, really. Obviously, Casemiro's there. He's on a long contract, big wages. He's playing. They spent huge amounts of money on him. They've dropped Fernandes down as well. But again, it's the legs issue in midfield. I don't believe Kobe can get about the pitch as much as a Carlos Baliba, say. But I do really like him technically. I think he can add something to that team. But again, playing him and Casemiro together, it doesn't work. Him and Bruno probably doesn't work. So yeah, it's a huge issue for Manchester United.
Ruben Amorim, Ruben Amorim's come out and basically said he's almost Bruno Fernandes' position. This isn't that long ago that he was starting for Man United, scoring the winning goal in an FA Cup, starting for England in a Euro final. So, and when you look at Manchester United's options in midfield, they don't have a lot. But is the problem that he feels like he is Bruno Fernandes' position?
That's what Ruben Amorim feels. Initially, when Amorim came in, Mainu got a lot of opportunities. But we saw in the second half of last season, when he came back from injury, he didn't feature at all, really, in the latter stages of the Europa League. He got that really important goal against Lyon, which got them through to the semi-finals, but didn't feature much at all. He came on with 1 minute to go in the final against Tottenham. And as you say, Amorim reiterated the fact that he is seen as the deputy to Bruno Fernandes. And Bruno Fernandes started all but 5 of the 60 matches United played last season. And he's set to predominantly play in midfield now because you've got Cunha and Mbeumo. We wait to see whether that changes based on how United perform in the first few games of this season. But Dan mentioned it there, and mobility is seen as the main issue for Kobbie Mainoo in terms of playing that role alongside Bruno Fernandes. You could argue Casemiro doesn't have the mobility that Mainoo does, but it's seen as he isn't that player to play alongside Bruno. But I think Amorim has built up a lot of credit with United fans, despite the fact the results have gone against him. With the Marcus Rashford situation, they've supported him. With the Alejandro Garnacho situation, they've supported him. I think it'll be really difficult if Kobbie Mainoo departs the football club, because there's a real connection between United fans and the academy. And if he departs, then there's a real danger that you won't be in a situation where Manchester United go into a match day with an academy graduate in the team. And it's a proud record that United have. It's gone back to 1937. It's a run of 4,323 games. If Mainoo departs, then that is under real risk, and it's something which United are very proud of. I'm not saying that's the reason you keep Kobbie Mainoo, but it would be really disappointing. I think United fans would find it hard to stomach if Kobbie Mainoo, albeit he's not an important part of the squad at the moment, is to depart.
Yeah, it does feel like there is still a big part to play for Kobbie Mainoo in that Manchester United midfield, but we will wait to see what happens with him. Anthony is the next one to discuss, James. It looks like Real Betis might get him permanently.
Yeah, this is a slight change in approach. I don't think Real Betis have a huge amount of money to play with this summer, and so they were always pushing for a loan with an option to buy. But Manchester United, because of the amount of money they've spent on Anthony, and because he was on loan there last season, they want to be in a situation where they sanction a permanent exit and bring some money back in. United haven't been great at selling players over the course of the last few years. They weren't even great at selling players under Sir Alex Ferguson. It's something they really want to get much better at. He's had lots of different offers. There's been interest from the Saudi Pro League. There was links with going to Bayer Leverkusen, where Erik ten Hag is. Erik ten Hag sanctioned the transfer for United for Anthony to become the second most expensive signing in United's history. But it does look like a permanent deal could be done here. They've made clear in negotiations, United, that a straight loan simply isn't going to be what they're looking for right now. So it does look like he could return to Betis, and it could end what has been clearly a very disappointing chapter for Anthony at United. I think he's ready for the move as well.
Yeah, it feels like a couple of other players could be ready for a move. Those are Rasmus Højlund, Jadon Sancho and Alejandro Garnacho. Man United just are in a position now where they really just need to get, especially, I suppose, Garnacho and Sancho out of the club. Yeah,
especially them two. Rasmus has obviously just come up recently. Still not sure why Newcastle hadn't gone for Rasmus Højlund, to be honest. A loan move for the year, I think 23. Still loads of room for development. In spells, he's done all right for United. He's been playing in a poor United team the last probably 1-2 years, which has found himself unlucky in that situation. With Sancho, yes, he needs to leave for the good of his career. There's 1 or 2 European clubs sniffing around for him, but not sure what he actually wants. And then Garnacho, it's looking like Chelsea, or it has been looking like Chelsea. There might be a surprise in the last few days of the window, but it's looking like Chelsea, and yeah, they need, obviously, they've sold 1 or 2 players last week, Chelsea. So yeah, that looks to be getting tied up probably a few days.
Yeah, well, either of those three players leave Manchester United before the window. Right up next, it's starting to feel like it's not a proper transfer window unless Mikel Arteta signs a left-sided defender. We'll talk about the deals Arsenal want to get done in the final 5 days of the summer window. Ahead of his £3.5 million move to Derby County. Once completed, the Scotland international is expected to finalise the paperwork on a 4-year contract. Rangers boss Russell Martin says Hamza Igerman is close to leaving the club after Lille's bid was accepted. It is understood that the French club have met the £10.4 million release clause in his contract.
I think we all expect that to come to a close very soon, and he won't be our player anymore. So that'll be that, and everyone else is pretty much here.
How disappointing and disruptive has that situation been since the weekend?
Not really. I haven't seen him, so he had a scan yesterday and got assessed.
Just for clarity, as far as you're concerned, the scans showed that there was no injury issue with the player.
I expect him to pass his medical, yeah.
Right, West Ham have had a terrible start to the season and haven't done a huge amount of business in the window either. But, James, that could be about to change.
Yes, Songutu Magassa looks like he's going to come in from Monaco. It's a deal worth around £17.3 million. Sets to have a medical today, and it will be a real boost for Graham Potter because he's been looking to sign maybe 2 midfielders in this transfer window. They've let Edson... a midfielder will go already in this window, so they need to sign a defensive midfielder. Edson Alvarez has gone to Fenerbahce, so they need to bring another player. He looks like he's going to have more legs. They've struggled at the start of this season, haven't they, in terms of getting that midfield combination right. It didn't look great against Sunderland. Looked even worse against Chelsea. Last night is a bit of an outlier because it's the Carabao Cup. But it looks like Ibrahim Sangare is another player they are interested in signing as well. I think they're exploring the conditions of a loan move for him in this window. So we wait to see what happens there. Clearly, Graham Potter needs support in this transfer window. Clearly, West Ham need a bit of a boost. We wait to see if Magassa can be the man that helps them in midfield and gives them some more encouragement after what has been a really disappointing start. It's sad to see for West Ham fans the fact that we're still in the middle of August and they're in such a bad position right now already.
Yeah, and after their Carabao Cup defeat to Wolves last night, Jarrod Bowen went over to the West Ham fans after the game and sort of was trying to listen to what they were saying to him, had to almost be like pulled away by Thomas Souček there. I mean, for the West Ham fans, Dan, though, it's not ideal. You're coming at your captain, who's your best player, who's, you know, the one that obviously he comes out after every game. You know, he's given so much to that club. He's not the player they should be going for, is he? No.
I mean, look, it's very early. I think with the whole Graham Potter thing, I think it's been burning from last year, really, and it's carried on to the start of this season. Jarrod might have been going over just to speak to them and see what their frustrations are. We all know their frustrations, but to actually go over and talk, but obviously now the stewards get involved, and I mean this happens abroad all the time. The ultras get involved and stuff, and you actually have to go over and listen. I don't think it would be a bad thing to Jarrod go over as long as there's nothing too sort of angry and aggressive against the player. But yeah, look, everyone knows West Ham need signings. Everyone knows they need to back Graham Potter. And rightly so. I think he's getting a rough time there, to be honest, at the moment.
I mean, surely a centre-back is a priority, having watched these first 3 games of the season. You know, even with they play with 3 centre-backs, but at the moment they're just conceding goals for fun. Yeah, they are. There is centre-backs available. I mean, Manuel Akanji, but at the moment West Ham is not an attractive proposition for most. When you see the squad and how they've started, how they finished last year as well. But it was only a couple of years ago where they won the Europa Conference League, and everyone was flying high and under David Moyes. And look, I think now everyone wanted David Moyes out, and he's a great manager, done really well for them, steadied the ship really, and got them competing mid-table and higher. Bearing in mind they had Declan Rice, who was running the midfield, and that's one area where they're probably weakest now. Right. We've got a couple of minutes left, guys. We thought we'd do something fun. I've put Dames and Jan, I was about to call you, Dan and James to the test. We've asked them to make their best 5-a-side team from this summer's transfers incomings to the Premier League. Dan, we're going to start with you. Let's have a look at your team. Who have you gone for? Well, probably start with Aaron Ramsdale. One that's probably gone unnoticed because he hadn't actually started a game yet. But for a 5-a-side team, a keeper that plays with their feet, I think Rammers can do that. I think he can step up as well. So Aaron Ramsdale's my #1 choice. Pretty good front 4. Yeah, I've gone with obviously those front 3, which are so attacking. I need Granit Xhaka in there to keep them disciplined and someone to actually put a tackle in when it's needed. Granit, every team that he's played for, Arsenal, Leverkusen, Sunderland,
the ball always goes through him.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
Ramos
good.
to Granit, and then he can feed those three. I mean, Shirky's probably gone under the radar again, probably because it was so early in the window that no one's really recognised him. And then obviously Eze had to go in. His ability, I can imagine a five-a-side at Arsenal. My God.
Ridiculous.
And then my good friend João Pedro, watched him up close, trained with him up close.
Brilliant.
What a player, great player. And I think that everyone now is seeing what he's about. So, yeah,
pretty good.
They make my five-a-side team.
That's a pretty good five-a-side team. James, who makes yours?
Well, I think Dan's team's probably better than mine. I've gone for a proper centre-back with
What
Malik
is
Chow
this?
as centre-back. I wanted to have players from each different areas of the pitch. Reinders, he's been so brilliant so far for Manchester City in that first game at least. James Trafford didn't have a great game, though. Last season he was incredible for Burnley, so he's been the goalkeeper, the standout goalkeeper signing this summer. Gyökeres, he's a top finisher. We saw that at the weekend as well.
Not five-a-side, though.
I do think Dan's team is slightly better for five-a-side. I think Jurki, Eze and João Pedro, that's probably the way to go. I don't think I've got this one quite right with the brief.
OK, shall we have a look at mine? Because I've done one as well. And I think mine is the best of them all. We've got Kelleher, brilliant goalkeeper. Don't need to say anything. Perfect for five-a-side. Doesn't really like to defend, but who cares? Because we don't really need that. This man had to have been in every single five-a-side team. Unbelievable. Got a bit of Florian Wirtz, a little bit tricky, you know, look perfect for five-a-side. Had to go with my man. Dan tried to claim I was copying him, but he's the perfect five-a-side player.
Only one Chelsea player allowed, sadly.
So who are we voting for as the winner? Me?
Dan, I think.
Oh, obviously you're going to say Dan. James, it's been a pleasure. Dan, thank you so much. As always, right, Sky Sports Fan Club is here next. And Dara McAntony is in the studio. He will be joining Will Perry.
Coming up for you at 10 o'clock this morning, Sky Sports Fan Club, where we put you right at the heart of the debate. The Peterborough owner, Dara McAntony, is our guest today. West Ham fans, we desperately want to hear from you. What is your take on the situation at your club right now? We're also, of course, discussing Celtic after their shock exit from the Champions League last night. Who is to blame, Celtic fans? And, of course, we will be talking transfers, including the future of Kobbie Mainoo at Old Trafford. Get your questions in for Dara. This is how you do it. Send us a voice note, leave us a message on WhatsApp. Simply scan the QR code that you can see on your screen. It'll take you straight there. And alternatively, you can use the WhatsApp number 07514 917 075. See you later.
Thank you very much, William. It's time now for our transfer update. Wolves have rejected a £50 million bid from Newcastle for Jørgen Strand Larsen as they look to replace Callum Wilson. Brentford are considering a move for Borussia Dortmund and Max Bayer. Manchester United midfielder Kobbie Mainoo is attracting interest from clubs in the Premier League and Europe amid uncertainty over his future. The teenager has not told United that he wants to leave. Real Betis are in talks with Manchester United over a permanent deal for Anthony. Mark Gay could leave Crystal Palace if they sign a replacement, but there have been no new approaches for their captain as of yet. That replacement could be, though, Manuel Akanji. Palace have approached Manchester City about signing the defender. Staying with Palace, they are close to agreeing a deal with Villarreal for winger Yeremy Pino after negotiations with Leicester City over forward Bilal El Khanous collapsed. Arsenal are interested in a late move for Bayer Leverkusen defender Piero Hincapié. And Galatasaray are in talks with Tottenham Hotspur over a deal for Yves Bissouma. OK, well, we've got a new transfer line into us. James, what can you tell us?
Well, free agent Josh Brownhill, arguably one of the most attractive free agents this summer, having left Burnley. He's now considering an offer from Al Shabab. It's a huge offer that he's been given from the Saudi Pro League club. He's held lengthy discussions with the club's head coach in regards to a move to them, and they're looking to add Brownhill to their ranks because they really want to push to win the Saudi Pro League title this season. And we understand they're willing to pay him upwards of more than £100,000 a week. Now, since leaving Burnley in the summer, he's had a number of different options. Burnley did put an offer on the table for him after helping them guide them back to the Premier League the first time of asking. He also held discussions with two unnamed Premier League clubs as well, and Leicester City, Southampton, Ipswich, all desperate to get back into the Premier League. They've expressed an interest in signing him too, and you can understand why. He was in the PFA Championship Team of the Year last season. He scored 18 goals from midfield, 6 assists as well. Played a huge role in their promotion to the top flight. He's thought to be quite relaxed about his next steps, and you can understand why when you consider the clubs that are interested in trying to sign him. And because he is a free agent, clubs can sign him later on in the summer. They don't have to sign him by Monday. He can be registered later on this summer or later on this year. So Brownhill in a great position right now, considering what is a huge offer from Al Shabab. At his age, over £100,000 a week, you can understand why he would be attracted by that. But as I mentioned, there's Premier League interest and interest from top clubs in the Championship as well. So watch this space with this one. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up.
Yeah, before we move on quickly, Dan, I saw your face when James said 100 grand a week. Can you understand why Josh Brownhill may be considering a move to Saudi?
What time's that jet going? There's only one place he's going, and that's over there. I don't blame him. He had a terrific season. Look, if it's there, then yeah, you take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Chelsea looks set for a busy end to the window. I mean, James, we're still in the same situation as we were, a few weeks ago, that there are so many of those big players that really need to be sold.
There are, and sometimes we don't mention the likes of Raheem Sterling and Ben Chilwell because they've been frozen out of the first-team picture for so long. Chelsea want to make even more signings this summer, but that is dependent on players leaving the football club. I think if Christopher Nkunku and Nicholas Jackson are able to find permanent exits from the club, then things could accelerate when it comes to incomings. We've already mentioned the likes of Xavi at RB Leipzig and Alejandro Garnacho. With Nicholas Jackson, there is plenty of interest in signing him because there's such a lack of good number nines right now, proven number nines. I'm not saying he's reached his peak, but he's a player who scored 24 goals in 2 seasons at Chelsea in the league. A decent, encouraging start for him. So I think if they can get good money for him, and they know they want something like £70 million because they look at the fees that have been paid for the likes of Ekitike. They look at what's happened to Sesko. They look at the Strand Larsen, Whistler situation right now. So while some people may look at the asking price and think that's incredible, but when you look at the market at the moment, you can understand why he'd be somebody that they'd look to try and sell for that sort of money. We can see what they've done already this summer. It's been a really successful summer for Chelsea in terms of sales, nearly £280 million. I expect it to go north of 300, maybe 350 million by the time Chelsea are done. They seem to have a really good knack. Yes, there'll be arguments that they're sometimes bringing players in, getting rid of them without giving them a chance, or maybe bringing players in who are at the similar level to players they have right now and moving them on. Maybe you could say that with Noni Madueke coming in for £50 million, or being sold for £50 million, them signing Gittins for £50 million, maybe similar level of player. They seem to have a knack of really getting good money for their players. They'll struggle to get good money for the likes of Sterling and Chilwell, but for the other players they have there right now, I mean, Bayern Munich want to sign Christopher Nkunku. You can see they're big players, not in the first-team picture. They're still big clubs that want to sign them.
Yeah, obviously Chelsea is so good at selling, that's evident from what we've just seen. But if you are the likes of Raheem Sterling and you are the likes of Ben Chilwell, how are they going to be feeling about this situation? Because, like we say, we haven't seen them in a Chelsea shirt for ages now, and surely they will, I don't know, would you lower your wage demands? Because obviously they will be on a lot of money just to get out of the club?
Yeah, I don't think they'll be panicking because they was in this situation probably last year and the year before, possibly. For Raheem, look, I said it last week, I believe that there's a loan move potentially into a London club. I only see that transfer, to be fair. I don't see Fulham, West Ham paying £20 million, what Chelsea want. I believe it would be a loan with maybe an obligation to buy. But yeah, I believe he wants to stay in London. For Ben Chilwell, I'm surprised that no one's took him. Everyone needs a left-back. Everyone needs 2 good left-backs. I'm surprised not many other clubs have been lining up for him. But again, wages, does he want to take a pay cut? What are Chelsea asking for? It's all those questions that are unknown to us. But yeah, I don't think they'll be panicking just yet. I believe they'll both get out. But it's just where is the question.
Yeah, obviously Ben Chilwell did spend time at Crystal Palace, didn't he, on loan last season. That club are now searching for a replacement for Ebere Eze, of course. A deal for Leicester's Bilal El Khanous isn't going to happen. But, James, it looks like Yeremy Pino could be on his way to Selhurst Park. Yeah,
Palace are close to agreeing a deal with Villarreal to sign him. We understand that the fee under discussion is nearly £26 million. Clearly, they need replacements when it comes to those forward options, and he can play on either wing. He could play as one of the number 10s in Glasner's system. We've seen Eze play there. We've seen Sarr play on the right-hand side. He's got 15 caps for Spain, so he's clearly a player with plenty about him. And for Crystal Palace, they simply need to get a move on when it comes to incomings. Oliver Glasner spoke at the start of this month. He said they've been passive in this transfer window, and that was before they lost Ebere Eze. So it looks like they're looking for 3 players, maybe 4 players if Gay was to depart, but is encouraging because they've got important matches coming up now. None of these players will be able to play in the Conference League qualifier they've got on Thursday night, but they want to be in a position where they build on last season, because last season I think there was real frustration. He came in February of last year and they had an amazing end to the season, so much excitement for that following campaign, but they took so long to get an act together when it comes to bringing players in. They signed 4 on deadline day last year. I'll be there on deadline day on Monday, and I think it'll be similar. I think it could be a late finish. Though the deadline's 7 o'clock now, but I think there could be some late deal sheets when it comes to Crystal Palace because they have plenty of work to do between now and Monday.
Well, could one of those late deals be Manchester City's Manuel Akanji? I mean, Dan, that would be a brilliant signing for Palace, but maybe is it Mark Gay's replacement?
Yeah, I think that Manuel Akanji's done fantastic at Man City. I wouldn't say he's surplus to requirements there, but they've got so many players that they need to move on. I think he's one that can go. Yeah, he would be a direct replacement for Mark Guehi for me. I believe Liverpool would get that deal done pretty soon after for a little bit less than the 40 million as well. And it's probably a win-win for everyone in that situation. I think with Manuel, it's time to move on. I think John Stones being fit, I think he's probably a direct competition for him, the one that can step into midfield, and I don't think Akanji is as good as Stones at doing that, and that's probably the reason why he'll be let go.
Yeah, that would be some signing for Crystal Palace, though, wouldn't it? Manuel Akanji, keep your eye on that one. Right, we'll have news from the Scottish Premiership this morning. Celtic left-back Mitchell Frame has agreed terms on a 4-year deal with Aberdeen, who have agreed a 6-figure fee with a significant sell-on clause. Right, up next, we'll have Dan's thoughts on a poor start for West Ham as their captain argues with the fans after a 3rd straight loss to start the season. Are ones to watch. Could we see late moves for any of these players behind me? Right, we are going to start, James, with the man in the middle, Crystal Palace's Mark Gay. Do you believe he will be making a move, and will it be to Liverpool?
It's still difficult to know at this point. One thing we know is he's unlikely to sign a new contract at Crystal Palace. He's likely to depart the club. It's whether it's going to be this summer or next summer. Liverpool don't want to overpay for a player who's into the last year of his contract. Mark Gay probably wants some assurances about game time, though when you consider the performances of Ibrahima Konate over the first 2 Premier League matches, you would expect him to come in straight away, and that's no disrespect to Konate. But he's been playing for Crystal Palace. He's been keeping his head down. He's been captaining the side. They've got off to a decent start this season. As things stand, he will remain a Crystal Palace player because there's been no fresh approaches from Liverpool. He could leave if Palace find a suitable replacement and there's a suitable offer that comes in. They've been looking at Manuel Akanji. I think Palace accept it's unlikely he's going to sign a new contract at the club. And after 4 really successful seasons, you can understand why he probably feels the need to further his career. He's in England international now. He probably deserves to be playing for one of the top clubs in the Premier League, if not in Europe. He'll be in a situation in January where he could speak to the likes of Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, if they are interested in signing him, because there's plenty of interest in signing this man next summer when he will be a free agent. And maybe it's better for Gay's career if he stays at Crystal Palace this season, has that stability playing at Crystal Palace where he's been the last 4 years, make sure he's in the starting 11 for England at the World Cup, gets to the summer when he can have any club what he wants and do that. That's probably what he's thinking right now as well. Yeah,
and of course playing in Europe for Mark Gay this season. Obviously Palace in the Conference League can have a very, very good chance of going a long way in that competition. Just before we move on quickly, Dan, do you think Liverpool's defensive performances in the first couple of games this season have maybe shown that they maybe do need someone like Mark Gay?
I think they'll be thinking about it more after the first couple of games. I think Konate will settle down. I think there's been a lot of noise about him wanting a new deal, going to Real Madrid on a free transfer, run his contract down. I think all that's playing a part, and then obviously Liverpool constantly getting linked with Mark, as you say. I think Konate will settle down and improve as the season goes on. But yeah, Liverpool will be looking at this going, can we maybe nick this one in the next few days?
Yeah. Now, another player that could be on the move is Gianluigi Donnarumma. Dan, he's not maybe the ball-playing goalkeeper that managers seem to love these days, but, I mean, if you watched him last season, he would be a brilliant signing for most Premier League clubs, wouldn't he? He
won PSG that Champions League.
Yeah.
To get through the saves Odegaard shot Arsenal at the Emirates, and that's just one off the top of my head, but there was probably 2-3 more over the course of that campaign. Yes, he's not good with his feet, but you say that, I rarely see him get caught. You could say, arguably, Ederson, Trafford, really good with their feet, and what happened last week, everyone saw that goal. So I think if he's in that team, they don't concede that because I don't think he plays that pass. But it's a strange one. I don't see where he goes because Ederson, Man City still want Ederson to stay. I know there's been links with Galatasaray, but it's not materialising yet. Manchester United are looking at a younger keeper. So really, it's Chelsea, possibly. Or the only one, and again, Donnarumma's wage demands. I mean, look, he's one of the highest paid goalkeepers in world football, and the only clubs that can pay that sort of wages is Saudi. Yeah. But whether he wants to go or not is a different question.
Yeah, interesting to see if Gianluigi Donnarumma ends up in the Premier League. James, Alejandro Garnacho touched on him briefly. I think he's made it pretty clear that he just only wants Chelsea, but currently the clubs are quite far apart in valuation. But, I mean, if he stays at Man United, then what?
I think we'll get a compromise on this over the course of the next few days. United want £50 million. Chelsea believe he's probably worth around half of that because of the situation he's in at Manchester United. Frozen out, not on the first-team picture. I know Ruben Amorim says that players will be reintegrated if they don't get a move, but that feels like a negotiation tactic. But Chelsea are in a situation where they will only make more signings if players depart for good money. And Chelsea have sold really well this summer, but they are faced with that UEFA restriction whereby they need to make a profit coming out this transfer window. So if they can get good money for Nkunku and Jackson, then I'd expect them to hit the push button on the deals for the likes of Xavi Simons and Garnacho. Garnacho remains committed to Chelsea. It looks like he only wants Chelsea. Chelsea's probably on his mind since January when it became clear that he's a long-term target for Chelsea. I do think it will happen. There'll have to be compromises from Manchester United when it comes to fee, as there will have to be compromise with Chelsea when it comes to the fees they're going to get for the likes of Nkunku and Jackson, who clearly aren't part of the first-team picture, and others as well.
Yeah. He only wants Chelsea. I don't blame him. What about Harvey Elliott then, Dan? Because he had a brilliant under-21 Euros, you know, scored in the final. I think he was voted player of the tournament, wasn't he? And just doesn't feel like he fits in that Liverpool midfield sort of attack anywhere.
Yeah, no, I think Liverpool are overcrowded now with obviously the signing of Wirtz coming in now. He plays in a similar position. Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, they've got some fantastic players. And as good as Harvey Elliott is and how well he has done, it's just going to prove difficult to break in and be a starter in that team. He's given it a great shot over the last few years. He played a huge role in their success as well. But yeah, I see him. The time now is to move on. I'm looking at Spurs, obviously desperate for that sort of attacking midfield player, number 10. I know they're getting linked with Lucas Paquetá. But Harvey Elliott's there and he's more than capable of stepping into that team and improving that team as well. Also, I know there's European clubs after him, but it's whether he wants to stay in England in the Premier League or try a new country in a new league. Well,
someone that did try a new country and a new league is Conor Gallagher, currently playing over at Atletico Madrid in Spain, Dan, but been linked back to Palace. I mean, he had a couple of really successful loans there, and I suppose with the window that Palace have had, surely they would welcome Conor Gallagher back with open arms.
That would be a fantastic signing. He done really well there on loan, like you say. He's had a great 2 years, I believe, at Atletico Madrid. Had success over there. It has to be big money for Atletico to let him go. I think he's a key part of their team. The way Diego Simeone plays on the front foot, that energetic pressing style, Conor's perfect for them. And I think he's got a great rapport with the fans over there, with his work rate and his energy. And I believe his quality there as well. I don't know, I don't see it right now unless it's big money.
Yeah, one to keep your eye on, Conor Gallagher potentially coming back to the Premier League. What about Arsenal then? They're looking to bolster their defence. Piero Hincapié is the man they are after. But I suppose the question is, James, I feel like Arsenal have got so many defenders. Do they need another one?
Well, we were asking this question when they signed Christian Mosquera. Do they need another centre-back? I don't think they need another centre-back, but I think they see this as a really good market opportunity if they can get some sales in and they can get a player of his quality in the door. When you look at the options they have in every position when it comes to goalkeepers and defenders, they are so well equipped, aren't they, if there is injuries. And you've got Zinchenko there, who looks like he's most likely to leave, but he's another option at left-back as well. Kivior has done a good job for Arsenal, it feels, but Arsenal probably feel they can maybe upgrade on Kivior, who looks close to moving to Porto, in Nkapia, who's had 4 seasons at Bayer Leverkusen as a starter in the Bundesliga. So he's done really well there. I don't think they necessarily need him, but I think when you consider the injuries that Arsenal had last season, when Gabriel missed some football, when Saliba missed football a couple of years ago, it really derailed their title ambitions. And it means that Arsenal was strong in every single area of the pitch now. Calafiori last season, we saw at the start of this season how good he's been, but there's been injury concerns for him as well. Nkapia can play as a left centre-back and as a left-back as well. And Miles Lewis-Skelly, I think that the long-term plan for him will be to play in midfield. So, yes, I can understand it. I don't think it's a necessity, but I think Arsenal have looked at this and seen it as a real opportunity to get a player in who could be a really important player, not only this season, but for the years to come.
Yeah, as James mentioned, Porto are close to agreeing a deal with Arsenal to sign Kivior. The proposal is for a loan with an obligation to buy in a package worth £26 million. It looks like Zinchenko is going to be on his way out as well. But, I mean, looking at those options there, Dan, and then looking at how many games they miss through injury, maybe, like James says, they do actually need him. And when you look at, defences win you titles, don't they? Yeah,
Arsenal are leaving no stone unturned this year. They're really going for it. I think if they don't win it now, then there's going to be huge pressure on Mikel Arteta. They've backed him. They've spent a load of money. They've got every position covered. But yeah, I mean, you look back at Liverpool a couple of years ago, they lost Van Dijk for the season. They had a poor season. You look at City last year, their defence was all over the place with injuries, chopping and changing players every week. And then, again, you go back further, you look at that Chelsea team with Carvalho, Terry, Gallas. It was super powerful, super strong. So, yeah, defences do win you titles. And like I say, I think this year could be Arsenal's year if they get that signing. And to be honest, it's one out, one in. So Jakub Kiwior's going out. They're just going to replace him. So just for big money, that's the only difference.
Yeah, so that's Arsenal's defence. Now, one player who shone on the weekend is Max Dowman, 15 years old. Now, Dan, you're obviously the under-18 coach at Watford. Just first of all, with a player like Max Dowman, is it tricky when you look at him at 15 years old, playing in the Premier League, doing what he's doing? For the player, is it a tough decision whether to stay at Arsenal, to sort of, stay there because he's been there for a while and he's now making a slow progress into the first team, or to already at 15 years old be looking, actually, I can go and get regular Premier League football somewhere else? Is he sort of stuck in a position where it's difficult to decide what to do you think?
No, I don't think... Look, I believe he's ready to play, but I don't think going on loan to a Premier League club now is the right option. I think staying around the group, getting game time for Arsenal, which he will, under the guidance of Mikel Arteta and the coaching staff there, probably still living at home with his parents, I believe. I think it's all set up for him just to carry on that road. It's similar to Phil Foden. They never let Phil out on loan, and in the end, he just had to bide his time. He had Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, learning from the very best in the world. That's exactly what he's doing. So he's going to be learning from Odegaard, Eze now coming in, Declan Rice, and they're all going to look after him. It was Jack Wilshere, probably the last youngster that went on loan. He had a season at Bolton in the Premier League, if I remember, and I guess that was obviously the right move for Jack. Ended up having a fantastic career. But for Max now at 15, he's still so young. Yeah. Still so young.
God, he is so young, 15 years old.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is. And obviously, as an under-18s coach, I suppose Max Dowman is this... You just know when a player is that good, they just stand out way above the rest.
Oh, yeah, it's easy to see. He would bypass... Well, he's bypassed the 18s. I wouldn't envisage him actually playing a game for the under-18s, to be honest with you. I know he's been with the first team training for the last year or so, which is even more incredible. But now everyone's just starting to see what he is and what he's capable of. And do you know what it is? It's making Ethan Nwaneri go under the radar. It's making Lewis Skelly go under the radar. And they're still so young, but have been performing excellently. But this kid is a special, special talent.
Arsenal fans are very, very excited about Max Dowman. Right, coming up next, James has an update on the future of former Burnley captain Josh Brownhill, plus Crystal Palace are closing in on a replacement for Eberechi Eze.